Oh, thank you both so much. They'll be signing autographs downstairs after service.
What about the merch?
Oh, merch. You have to talk to them about that. So I'll warn you, today's homily is a little bit longer than we're used to. I ran out of time to write a short one. It happens. But if it does start to drag, I would invite you to find the meaning in that struggle and the opportunity in that problem. So, years back, I decided to go on a 3-day fast with a friend of mine who may or may not have been today's musical guest. The plan was to head for the woods with no food, sit by the river and the campfire, and just wait for wisdom and spiritual truths to arise from within. And it was an okay plan, but we made a crucial error. Psyllium husk is a plant-based fiber supplement that forms a jelly-like substance when you mix it with water. This allows it to dampen your appetite while not giving you any actual nutrition. So we took this supplement several times a day to avoid the pain of not eating. It was only as our trip wrapped up with minimal spiritual insights that I realized our mistake. The pain and the discomfort which we managed to evade were the whole point of the thing. By making our fasting easy and painless, we also made it pointless. So it's only human to want to avoid unnecessary pain and drudgery, and the inventiveness of our species is driven by this very desire. But as our ever more impressive technologies remove the struggle from our lives, we're finding effortless existence to be largely empty and meaningless. Passive living isn't all it's cracked up to be. A recent article in The Atlantic titled "The People Outsourcing Their Thinking to AI" discusses the rise of lemmings, and spelled with 2 L's because of large language models. Don't worry about it. A class of compulsive AI users for whom AI has become their primary interface through which they interact with the world. The emails they write, the life decisions they make, and the questions that consume their minds all filter through AI first. So rather than using this technology to avoid drudgery, these lemmings are using it to outsource the very things that make them human: rationality, creativity, empathy, and connection. And once a person has offloaded their thinking, communicating, imagining, and vocation to the software, well, there's not a lot of human left. At some point, these humans will be little more than an excuse for the software to operate, and the AI will become more real, more alive, and more significant to the world than the person behind it. Most college students now use ChatGPT at least part of the time to complete their work, and this isn't inherently a bad thing. Getting some cyber assistance with grammar or spelling is relatively harmless, and the support can be instructive. Many, however, are using ChatGPT to avoid getting an education altogether. They rely on the software for the research, the reasoning, generating ideas, writing, creative work, crafting opinions, and everything else that might enrich and grow them as people, which is ostensibly the whole point of an education. As such, we'll soon have this class of college graduates whose only actual skill is asking the computer to do their work for them. And from there, having a degree will carry no weight at all, beyond the crippling debt, of course. In an article in The Guardian titled, and this is where our reading came from, "What Technology Takes From Us and How to Take It Back," Rebecca Solnit writes, "Having a large language model do your creative and intellectual work is maybe the most extreme example of dispensing with the process while claiming the product. But in education, the ultimate product is not your term paper or essay or grade point average. It's yourself. You are supposed to emerge more informed, more capable of critical thinking, more competent in your field of study. The students who begin by cheating their professors end by cheating themselves." But beyond lost job skills and intellectual decay, what's now known online as brain rot, this reliance on AI also comes at the expense of self-knowledge and self-expression. With AI providing the symbols of achievement without the effort, what creations will now go uncreated? What discoveries will go undiscovered, and what lives unlived? A life that can be lived for you by a machine is necessarily one that's so diminished and so formulaic that it hardly qualifies as living at all. More and more, it seems that the crowning achievement of our civilization is going to be rendering ourselves irrelevant, little more than digestive systems in search of stimulation, i.e., the perfect consumers. So the takeaway is this: as much as we like things to be fast, cheap, easy, and entertaining, in the most important realms of our lives, education, work, relationships, spirituality, the struggle is the point. I'll repeat that: the struggle is the point. Struggle is where we engage the world, make our mark upon it, and have ourselves changed by it in turn. It's often where we feel most awake and most alive, and without it, our lives are stripped of agency and connection, leaving us observers of our own existence. So I'd invite you to think back on the events or the epochs in your life that felt most meaningful and most memorable. I suspect that whatever's coming to your mind, those times were by and large not defined by their comfort and their ease. I suspect more likely they were times when you were challenged, taking risks, testing your limits, learning, exploring, changing. Many of my best memories revolve around when I've been out camping and backpacking, where unnecessary effort provides much of the joy. Out in nature, washing the dishes, cooking, bathing, obtaining clean water, making a place to sleep, those things all cease to be chores and instead become rituals that can make us feel more alive. Basically, making the mundane difficult makes it meaningful by forcing us into a mindful, intentional state. Other examples abound. Every teacher knows that the hardest kid in class, the one who makes you struggle, ends up being the one you get most attached to. Anyone who cooks knows the deep satisfaction of a meal created from scratch versus one pulled from a box. Or think about hazing at fraternities or the military. Hazing, in spite of the dangers, persists because the new members want it. Paying the price is what makes the membership valuable. A club or a country or a church that asks nothing of its members excites no loyalty. People don't value what they don't pay for. Now, the disappointments that come from avoiding struggle are also very easy to identify. We boast about our social media friend counts and likes, while our actual social skills and relationships atrophy. Or think about our obsession with convenience and ease and what that's done to American cuisine, or the way we fill our lives with consumer goods that are little more than pre-garbage. Or how younger generations, at least until recently, took their democratic rights and freedoms for granted because they'd never had to fight for them. Or parents who, with the best of intentions, make their children helpless by solving all their problems for them. A really perfect example of this disappointment with avoiding the effort comes from online dating, which has made the basic mechanics of courtship as easy as placing an order on Amazon. Not surprisingly, actually meaningful, fulfilling romantic relationships are more elusive than ever, and not for lack of opportunity, but because in avoiding the process, people never gain the skills they need to hold a real adult relationship. Rebecca Solnit again writes that sex involves demands and risks because the needs of the other person may not align with yours. Intimacy means intimacy with that otherness, the possibility that things will go wrong, that there will be pain and rejection. That is the price of admission for intimacy with humans, and for the possibility that things will go right, and the fortifying joy when it does. Avoiding struggle doesn't just deprive us of meaning and growth, it also makes us fragile. Martin Seligman, the director of the Positive Psychology Center at the University of Pennsylvania, notes that to the extent we overcome and cope with the adversities and traumas in our life, we develop more mastery, more resilience, more ability to fend off bad events in the future. But conversely, to the extent that we have an ideology or a belief that when traumatic events occur, we are the helpless victims of them, that feeds on itself too. The same way hothouse plants and domesticated pets are weakened versions of their wild counterparts, A lack of challenge can create adults incapable of taking on the responsibilities of the real world, such as men in their 30s who still live in their parents' basements playing video games all day. We need to be challenged to know what we're capable of and to become our best selves. Without adversity, we fail to thrive. Now, I do need to note that there's a big difference between the kind of struggle I'm talking about and those struggles that have no meaning, more commonly known as suffering. As Jill Filipovich writes in The Atlantic, the problem is that this idea that to develop resilience we must tough out hard situations places a heavier burden on some people than others. People who grew up under constant stress, perhaps owing to abuse, poverty, or food insecurity, may find that this stress is erosive to their ability to use those resilience muscles. Michael Unger, the director of the Resilience Research Center at Dalhousie University, writes, chronic exposure to a stressor like racism, misogyny, being constantly stigmatized or excluded, ableism, all of those factors do wear us down. They make us more susceptible to feelings that will be very overwhelming. So, many types of struggle are simply not fruitful. Moreover, too much struggle can also be detrimental. The blowing wind can strengthen the stalk of a plant, but too much wind can break it. Lifting weights can make our muscles stronger by lightly damaging them, but too much weight and the muscle tears. And so too with people. We can only endure so much. Overcoming hardships and dramas really can bring out the best in us, but these silver linings don't justify human tragedy. That being said, finding the meaning in our sufferings can do much to aid our healing and to make them bearable. As Nietzsche once wrote, "He who has a why to live can bear almost any how." The fact that I'm here today asking you to embrace struggle hopefully doesn't come as too much of a surprise. It's kind of what we do here. When the person up here at the pulpit beseeches you to love more, we are asking you to make your life harder. Love is work. And when we encourage you to dedicate your life to justice or equity, I had to remember which ones are where, we're also asking you to make your life harder. Being generous can make your life harder, and really any of these. These are not values for wimps and cowards. Yes, I want your life to be harder in these specific ways. Because these are fights worth fighting, and these are struggles worth struggling. I want to make your life harder because I want you to be fulfilled, and these are things worth giving your life to. The gift we offer at this church is the opportunity to make the most of your one wild and precious life. But we never promise that it'll be easy or comfortable. This may sound like blasphemy to the American mind, but sometimes it's better to do things the hard way, to be inefficient, to be unproductive, to achieve nothing. Because there's value in the effort, and our lives are in the doing, not the having done. Now, don't get me wrong, convenience and comfort can be wonderful things, but they do come at a cost. Meaning is found in connection that's lost when we let machines live our lives for us. I'm grateful for many, many blessings of technology, but I think it's past time that we realize there can be too much of a good thing. We have to take care that our innovations enhance our lives and don't merely replace them. To quote Rebecca Solnit one last time, the solution to technology is not more technology. Technology has stolen from us each other, and in many ways from ourselves, and then tried to sell us substitutes. Resisting the annexation of our hearts and minds by Silicon Valley requires us not just to set boundaries on our engagements with what they offer, but to cherish the alternatives. Joy in ordinary things, in each other, in embodied life, and the language with which to value it is essential to this resistance, which is resistance to dehumanization. Living is in the struggle, and we only truly value that which asks something of us. So let us not flee from life's burdens, but embrace them as opportunities to grow, to find meaning, to connect, to create, and to know ourselves more deeply. We're not here to cling to our lives at all costs. We're here to spend our lives, to expend our lives, and to use them up. May we be blessed with challenges worthy of that endeavor. So be it, and so may it be.